Well, folks, we made it to season 7. Welcome to the Vulnerability Time podcast. I am your host, Josias Abriel, and published author. Speaking of published author, before the episode starts, make sure to go check out my books. They're available on Amazon, and the link is in the episode description below. Go ahead, get you some healing. One's a poetry book about overcoming pain and trauma and stuff like that, and then the other one's a self-awareness interactive journal notebook. So get you some healing. You're worth it. Another thing that you're worth all the love in the world. You're worth all the healing in the world, and I'm glad that you're here with us today to heal together. You are loved, you are valuable. This is your sign. Alrighty, enjoy the episode. Bye, folks. Okay, alrighty, folks. So we love a pre-recorded intro. Alrighty, so today, what we will be discussing, I'm sure y'all can tell by the episode title, how vulnerability leads to healing and transformation. Why soft does not mean weak at all. So we'll be talking about those topics. But before we get into that, welcome Julie to the show. Welcome.
Oh, thank you so much. Thanks for having me. I've been looking forward to talking with you.
Yes, thank you, Julie. I've been looking forward to talking with you as well. So Julie, before we get into our topics, tell us a little bit about you, maybe like let's see, any credentials, any work that you have out, websites, books, future projects, or just about yourself. Yeah, let us know. Let us get to know Julie.
Okay. Well, I spent 30 years in a corporate career and by all accounts was very successful, but just completely depleted my soul. I lost who I was in that job. So I quit several years back and um, started writing books. And I'm writing my 7th book right now. And it's actually more than a book. I wrote the book, had it edited and proofed and was ready to do it. And I thought, it's not done. And what I decided was it's really a movement. It's not a book. And so I want to help a lot of people uncover who they are and love themselves deeply.
Yes. Wow. I love how you said that because with both of my books, I would tell people this is not a book, it's an experience. But I love what you said. You said you realize it's more than a book, it's a movement. All that was
Yeah.
powerful. That was beautiful. That was powerful. So, Julie, how can we access, your books if we want to check them out? Where can we find that?
On my website, hellojulieheaton.com.
Okay.
You can get some free material there. You can get my books. You can sign up for coaching. You can do all the things through my website.
Okay, fabulous. So, folks, any links that Julie sends me will be in the episode description below. So, folks, make sure you go and support and check things out and things like that. So, do you have like so can you give us a little a sneak peek of what this movement will be?
Yeah, it's called Roar, a Sacred Rebellion. And it's about reclaiming your voice, owning your story,
Mm,
aligning in your truth, and then radiating your light.
mm,
So it's learning how to use your own, find out who you are and what you want in life without everybody else's expectations or stories about you or who you are or any of that. It's about what you want.
yes.
And so this book, it really is my journey. I took from self-loathing. This sounds cliche, but it's true, from self-loathing to self-loving. So I have experienced all these things. I'm right there with the reader, and this is how I did it.
Yes. I love
Mhm.
that. Oh, that's beautiful. Julie, by the way, if you see me look off to the side every now and then, I'm paying attention. It's just I gotta make sure it's still recording.
No, that's fine.
One time it stopped on me before, so now I gotta keep looking. Yes, we don't want that. But okay, wow. Okay. So, what kind of I know we're gonna get into our topics, I swear, but I'm so interested in your books. So what got you to go on the path of, you know, sharing with the world through the power of reading and writing?
I honestly had no idea this was going to be my path. When I quit my job,
Mhm.
I had no idea what I was going to do with the rest of my life.
Yeah.
It was a very scary thing to do, but I knew to find myself, I had to quiet all the noise. I had to step away. That was my path. That's how I had to do it. And as part of that journey, I did a lot of learned how to meditate. I did a lot of journal writing, and then I started doing freeform writing. And I don't, for those who don't know what freeform writing is, Julia Cameron, the Artist Way, developed this system. And what you do is you just wake up and you just start writing. You don't think about it. You don't punctuate. You don't consider what you're writing. You just get it all out.
Yeah.
And after a couple months of that, I went to my husband and I said, I think I accidentally wrote a book. And that was my friend. I I channeled this book, and that was a Manifestor's Playbook. And that book really could have been called The Little Book of Self-Love, but I I believe to have the life we want, you have to know and love yourself first. So you know what you want out of life. And it's the only way that you can find the inner peace that you need.
Yeah. Wow.
So that's kind of how that journey started for me. It was unexpected out of nowhere, and I just kept trusting.
Yes.
I just kept trusting. But it was really hard for me because I had always been behind the scenes and propped other people up.
Mhm.
And in our family, I wasn't the writer. I had a different title.
Mm.
My sister was the writer, and so it took me a while to say I'm an author out loud. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool. It's like you wake up, you wouldn't think that, like way back then, who would have known, right? Like who would have thought?
Not me.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that, Julie. That is a beautiful, beautiful, I think that's a beautiful journey. I've heard about freeform writing, but I didn't know that much until like you had said it. So I think that that's really, really beautiful. And I love that, and I love the word free and freeform writing. And I also like how you said, like, you just write, don't really think about it. No, don't have to worry about like punctuation and things like that. You're just able to just be and be present with the writing. I love
Yeah, it
that.
helps unearth things,
Hmm.
that are buried that you don't even know are there. If you're not trying to think of like, oh, and I'll be honest, a lot of times when I first started, it might have said something like, I don't know what to write. This is silly, and then until I got into a flow and then all the stuff
Yeah.
came up. It's just really cool. That book is really cool if your audience hasn't checked it out. It's a good one to check out.
Okay, yes. And what was the title of that again?
It's called The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha, gotcha. Okay.
Mhm.
Fabulous, fabulous. Okay, Julie. So, how vulnerability leads to healing and transformation. Why that topic? What is your journey with that? How did that show up in your world?
I've always said to people, if everybody told their truth, no one would feel alone. And I really believed it, but I only told that much of my truth
Mm,
because the rest was not appropriate for consumption, I thought.
mm,
But but the 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 real story is what we're hiding. It's our shadow, and how we integrate that shadow is the more we can integrate, the freer we are. And that takes vulnerability. It takes compassion. It takes forgiveness. But you have to be open and ready to lay your cards on the table to do that.
yeah.
So for me, humility, being being willing to make mistakes and look foolish is a huge part. And that goes along in my mind with vulnerability.
Yes.
Mm.
Wonderful. So could you give us like an example from your life of like a yeah, an example from or a couple examples from your life of how, vulnerability showed up and kind of like led to healing and or transformation.
Well, the first step in healing is
Mhm,
learning to love yourself.
mhm,
And that can feel really awkward and
mhm,
silly and uncomfortable. And so the first person you have to be vulnerable with is yourself.
mhm,
And one of the things I teach is mirror work. And that sounds super corny and super silly, but uh, it is hands down the first way to start loving yourself is, look yourself in the mirror and say nice things to yourself. See what you love about yourself. Look in your eyes and say, "Hey, you did a great job today." So that takes an abundance of vulnerability.
yeah.
I mean, it's pretty tough when the world is telling you why you're wrong,
Mhm,
and when you grow up thinking that self-love is selfish.
yeah.
We shouldn't, especially, and I shouldn't say this. This is a generalization, but for me as a woman, my needs were supposed to be last,
Mhm,
you know?
mhm,
So anyway, it just took, that's the first place I learned how to be really vulnerable.
mhm.
And then, in writing my books, I wrote the books in hopes it's gonna hope people find themselves and love themselves. And to do that, I had to be very vulnerable, open up and tell my story, the things that work for me, the things that didn't work for me. Um, what I tell people all the time is healing and this journey we're on,
Yeah.
it's a practice.
Mhm.
And so we go along and we're doing real well, and then we slip up. And then we got to pick ourselves back up and keep going and then we keep going and we get a little further and then we might slip up again. And all those times that we have to get back up, that's vulnerability. That's saying, okay, all right, I'm gonna dust myself off. I'm gonna put myself out there again and I'm gonna keep going.
Yes. Wow. Yes. And so the self-love aspect, could you talk to us more about like um why that was, in your life, like why that was, difficult um to even grasp at first? Mhm,
I In my personal story,
mhm.
there was a lot of trauma
Yeah.
and a lot of things that happened in my childhood that I write about a lot. But and also, um, we all run this narrative, and I think that whatever when you're a kid and you're growing up, whatever your grown-ups around are telling you is part of your narrative.
Mhm.
And so we come up with these stories about who we are and how we fit in the world. And probably when I was about your age, when I was a lot younger, I you wouldn't believe the things I would that were going on in there. It was really this you would have thought I hated myself, which I did. So I guess that was true. But on the outside, I looked like I had it all together.
Right.
And so self love to me is learning to see yourself for your true self, not what other people have said, not what other people put upon you, not what you've told yourself, but really, really who you are. So it's again, so for me growing up, I had, I'm like everybody else. I mean, that's the thing I want people to realize is everybody has a story. Some of our stories are horrific horror movies and some are fairy tales. But we all have a story. And so for me, my story was somewhere between that. I had good things and I had bad things.
Yeah.
But what led up to this, really this self-loathing was feeling guilt and shame about choices I had made
Yeah.
and keeping them secret.
Mhm.
So secrets just kill us. The shame
Yes.
just it twists us, it transforms us into something we
Mhm.
don't know. And for me, the guilt and shame created a person that sought outside validation
Yeah.
and required approval from other people.
Mhm.
So I gave away all my power to other people because I was seeking it from everybody.
Mhm.
So for me, my freedom came when I learned to self-validate, and that comes from loving yourself enough to trust yourself enough
Mm.
to be vulnerable and live your life and not care about other people, but not care about what they think.
Right.
You know, like
Yes. Yeah.
have compassion for your neighbor, but don't care what he thinks about you.
Yeah. Yes. Thank you for sharing that. I definitely, can relate to a lot of the words that you were saying. Like I know for me, like my self-love journey, s- mm, I'd say my healing journey started at 15 when I died and came back to life. But the self-love journey started when I was like, let's see, maybe around 2021. Yeah. So, and when I first, yeah, 2020, 2021. Let's say 2021 to be safe. Yeah, 2021 is when, and that's recent because the year that we're currently, folks, if you're listening to this 2 years from now, the current year right now is 2025. All right. So that was just 4 years ago. And
Yeah.
I love myself now. I am so proud of, how far I've come, especially in the self-love journey. But it took very long to even get to that realization. I remember, the thought of self-love was something that was very, I didn't even know how to grasp it,
Mhm.
um and so, and I know like, how my childhood trauma, the abuse that happened, consistently over and over and repeated. And then when I finally spoke up about the abuse, how it was not handled is, so it showed me, I think folks, y'all know it's sexual abuse, physical abuse. Of course, there's a multitude of other abuses, but what it showed me was I'm not lovable and I am not worthy.
Yeah.
Because my question was, who would love this? Like even my own parents didn't love this. So why do I even deserve to love this? And that's how I referred to myself, as this, like referred to, yeah. And so it was really bad. And so what helped me with my self-love journey, of course I had to do a lot of other healing, shadow work and all that, good stuff, but what helped me, I feel like, progress more with my self-love journey. One, I couldn't do it on my own. I want to point that out there to people. Like therapy, like I could not do it on my own. Of course, like therapy was great, and also just receiving love and receiving, like when my friends would do good things for me or want to pay for my meal, I just let them. And even though it was uncomfortable, I let them, because I knew the purpose, one, it's an act of love, and I just had to tell myself I'm worthy of love.
Mhm.
I'm worthy of it, you know? And but
Mhm.
yeah, so but what helped, there's many things, folks, that helped me in my self-love journey, but one of the things that um I really love, and I think it's helped me in a more unique way, is treating is loving my inner child and treating myself like, or talking to myself like I would a little kid, you know, because the things that I used to say about myself, I wouldn't say to a stranger, I wouldn't say to a kid. I would have grace and love, compassion, you
Mhm.
know? And so I was like, there's an inner child in there. And so for me, like you know, like I took care of myself better. Sometimes I just hug myself, you know.
Mhm.
Sometimes when I make a mistake, I would just be like, you know, you're worthy of love. You're
Yeah.
lovable. And I didn't believe it at first. I still didn't believe it. I guess that's the point of an affirmation, is you don't always believe it at first. But I did not believe it at first. And so eventually, you know, through like actions of self-love, even when I didn't feel it, you know, and just telling myself these things, going to the mirror and telling myself that,
Mhm.
wearing rings that say, like this ring that I have on now, it says I am enough. My background, it says I'm enough, I'm lovable. You know, things like that, that helped me with my self-love, but really just getting more in touch and loving my inner child, that that really stands out to me in my
Yeah.
self-love journey. So, yeah.
Well, for those of us who had traumatic childhoods, it's mandatory. You
Mhm,
have to go back and heal that inner child. And
mhm,
yeah, I would say when I talk to people, if you wouldn't talk to your best friend like you talk to yourself, you need to work. You have work to do. You should be your own best friend. And if you hear yourself saying things you wouldn't say to your best friend, stop.
mhm,
Learn to stop. And that's how you kind of catch those first thoughts, you know, like, would I say that to my best friend? And for those people that are not really familiar with inner child work, it's things come up for us when we're threatened or
mhm,
triggered. And if we start to ask ourselves questions like, so when I get upset now, I start asking questions and I'm excited about it because I know, hey, I get to work on whatever. But so I ask, is this, first I ask, is this even mine? Am I even really mad or upset or whatever the feeling is? Is this a pattern? Do I think I should be mad or upset? And so I started asking the questions, and sometimes the answer is, yeah, it's just a pattern, let it go. Sometimes it's, no, that little 4-year-old n- needs to know you're okay
mhm,
and you're not 4 anymore and you got her.
yeah,
And so that's kind of for me how I work with my inner child.
yeah,
But I always start when I get triggered with the questions to see where the trauma is coming from anyway. Because a lot of times it's not even it's something some habit my mom had that uh, it- for whatever reason is still playing in these files. And so when I can stop and say, hey, is this even mine? And it's like, no, is this even yours?
mhm,
Then I can let it go. You, you see, you know?
yeah,
So there's a lot of ways to heal, and the journey's not the same for everybody. I want people to know that.
mhm,
And so what works for me, you might not work for somebody else. And you're right. In my journey, I've had therapists. I've gone to, I don't know, I've gone to India. I've been to 100 different seminars. I've read 1,000 books. I've had coaches. And so, yes, you've got to find what works for you and the guide that works for you. And I will say there's a time for a guide. There's a time to have someone help you, but never, you're still the number one authority on you. And so I find sometimes people put their guides on a pedestal or they know or they're just seeking an answer. And the truth is, someone can show you a way, but you have to choose the way. You have to know that's the way for you. And um, No one can heal you. You can heal, you heal yourself. You have the power to heal yourself. You're the only one that can. So when you're working with people or you're seeking outside help, that's fantastic. I encourage it. But don't put anybody on a pedestal. They might know more about the subject, but they do not know more about you. Mhm.
Yes, wow, that was powerful. That was beautiful. Thank you
Oh,
for
thanks.
sharing that, Julie. Um, so why does soft not mean weak?
That took me a long time to learn. You
Yeah.
know, when I was in the corporate world, a lot of times I was the only woman in the room,
Mm,
you know, and so I got tough. I got really uh, fostered my masculine side, quite a bit, and really shrank the divine feminine in myself to survive those things. And it doesn't, someone told me this once, and this makes sense in all of life to me. It's such a good metaphor. Don't be the chihuahua. And I'm like, what? Be the big dog. You don't need to bark. You have the power to just be present and show your power that way. The little chihuahua has to bark to be seen.
mm,
So so I always think about that when I'm gonna in my life now, when I get upset or I have something, I think what's going to be the most effective way for me to communicate? How do I want to show up? And I want to always show up in love if I can. And what that means to me is showing up with an open heart and patience, even when someone is being nasty, because their only thing I have control over is how I respond. I don't have control over anybody else's actions or anything they do or say. I only have control over how it impacts my life. And to be honest, since I don't seek outside validation anymore, there's very few people that can impact what goes on inside. So I don't need to be loud.
yes,
I don't need to be loud. I already know who I am.
yes,
Uh, and I don't need to prove it to anybody.
right.
So I think when you have to be loud, you're trying to prove something and you're trying to force it.
Yeah,
And it, the way life works for me is I really try to ride the wave. I try to flow. uh, And I'm not always successful, but I always try to get back into the flow of things.
right. Kind of like that, practice makes progress.
I always feel that way.
Mhm,
Life is just one big classroom, and we're all participants. We're all just practicing and learning, and we're doing the best we can. And so we might graduate second grade to third grade in a category, you know, and we
yes,
might be in kindergarten in another category. And that's okay. That's why we're here.
yes.
Mhm.
Have you ever heard of the concept or term Earth School? Like Earth is a school?
Yeah, the classroom. Yeah, Earth. Yep.
Mhm.
Mhm.
In the regards to like, um, um, once someone, passes on or gets to go on the other side as in like, dying and having near death experience, and then a lot of them come back and including myself and say, I learned that Earth is kind of like a school. It's like a big school. Is that what you meant when you said like classroom Earth? Nice.
Yeah,
Yes.
we we're just here to learn and do our best. And
Hmm.
I'll tell you one thing. I was actually talking to my dad today, and he said, "Oh, with age comes wisdom." And I said, "No, Dad, that's not true.
Right.
We can get old and not get wise.
Right.
It's what we choose. If we choose to keep learning,
Yeah.
that's vulnerability too. If you go back, you have to keep a beginner's mind and know you don't know everything. I know very little, and I just do my best with what I know as I learn and grow."
Yeah.
And so that's a huge mistake people make is, oh, he's he looks wise. Well, he might look wise, but has he done the work?
Right.
You know?
Right.
Yeah, so age means very little. It's how open you can stay to learning, how you can stay rooted in integrity, but keep your truth flexible,
Yes.
you know? So my truth today is comes from a place of integrity, but the more I learn, that truth could change,
Yes. Yes.
you know?
Yes. I love that. I agree as
Mm.
well. Yeah, and the more speaking of learning and choosing to grow, so currently I'm getting my PhD. Um
Wow.
and so academically, the more that I know, the more that I know that I don't know.
Yeah.
And life, choosing to grow and heal as well, I also can say very similar thing that, like, you know, the more that I know, the more that I know that there is still more to grow. There's still more to know, there's still more, and so um I'll never know fully as a human. I don't want to know. I don't want to fully know. Um but that makes us it's a for me at least, it's kind of like a catalyst to growing and to learning and to experience, because I don't have all the answers,
Hmm.
and so yeah, like, it wouldn't be, at least for me, it wouldn't be much of a class if I had all the answers, and wouldn't be. So I loved everything that you just said. Thank you for sharing that, Julie. It's
Oh,
beautiful.
please. Yeah. It's I feel like I have learned so much about what you just said, what I haven't learned. I'm just so open to new conversations and new dialogues, and um, I love these conversations where I might learn something new.
Yes.
Hmm.
That's beautiful. Yes, and I love that. I love that, you're still remaining open to that. I just think that that's amazing. I've encountered a lot of, and I'm talking about like my family, where um almost everyone has said I'm more mature, emotionally, intelligent than them. And they're not wrong, honestly. I don't mean that in an arrogant way. They're literally not wrong,
Hmm.
it's and no shame on my parents necessarily. We don't have the best relationship at all, actually. We don't have any relationship, but no shame on them. But like it was noticeable because I always was kind of gaslit and told, oh, you know, with age comes wisdom, but it was in a way of like gaslighting to keep me quiet about
Hmm.
a lot of things, about abuse. And then, as I got older, I they were they didn't realize it, but they helped me see that maybe that statement isn't always true.
Hmm.
Because I've seen wisdom in people regardless of age. I've seen that, and I've
Yeah.
seen, lacks of wisdom regardless of age. So that statement, yeah. And so I love how you said that. You're like, did you do the work? Did you choose to continue to grow? Did you choose to
Hmm.
continue to learn? I love that. Because I was like, yeah, I've never really agreed with that statement anyways, but you helped me verbalize it so much better by what you
Oh,
said.
good.
So I was like, oh, okay, yes, like that just, yes, that helps me verbalize, it more. So thank you, Julie.
We see a We see it a lot in today's world where people are choosing to stay in this truth they learned at 15 or 20,
Yeah.
like whatever, without integrity. They're choosing something so they aren't wrong, regardless of the outcome. we're seeing that a lot right now, and that's where this control and this fear-based
Mhm.
society is coming from. And so it's really important that those of us who see that really stay flexible and open and keep our hearts open. It's like it's like this rigid thing over here, and we just have to flow right through it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, I agree. Yeah, that is the reality. And I speaking of things learned at early ages and it's sticking, I completely agree. I know that it's very common, and in some sorts of survival mechanism. Um, Sometimes it serves us, sometimes it does not. And so that's why, like, I think it's, you know, um, our responsibility, to be
Mhm.
able to learn. Because I realized that almost all those things that I was taught as a kid were not true. I was just like, for example, like, oh, the color pink is for girls, or there's only male, female, and then I learned that throughout majority of human history, the color pink was um I hate that, but I hate labeling, but
I know.
society then
Mhm.
pink was a man's color. It was more masculine. If women wore pink, they were kind of like looked at differently because they weren't quote unquote supposed to wear pink. And so I was like, well, that's throughout majority of history. So, okay, well then who's right? And then I was just like, actually, that's a construct and pink can be anybody's color. Cause I was just like,
It's
there's,
it's somebody's story that they made up.
yes.
They put it just like everything. It's all these rules were made up by man, and we all chose to follow them
Yeah.
for whatever reason.
Hmm.
This is the rule. Men do this, women do this.
Right.
Pink is this, pink is that. I remember being a little girl. I grew up in a religious family too,
Oh,
and I remember
same.
as a little girl, um, I was that kid that questioned everything. Like, "Eh, that doesn't sound right." And I asked my dad coming home from church one day because we learned this story in whatever the kids' church is, and I forgot the name of it. And I said, "Dad, I don't understand. If everybody thinks they're right, then who's wrong? Because all these religions think they're right. We're
Yes.
right. No, we're right. No, we're right. If everybody's praying to God and we all think we're right, who's wrong?"
Right.
And my dad said what he knew. He said, "Well, we're right."
Hmm.
And I knew at like 5 or 6 that did not. I was like,
Right. Right.
because
Right.
all these wars are started over who's right.
Right. Hmm.
And it was one of those things that really informed me early that these are all stories. They're all stories we make up for to control. So whenever I think literally today in this day, I my husband and I got in a little fight this weekend, and I was sure I was right, and so and my old story would have been, you're going to be right until he admits he's wrong.
Hmm.
That would have been something I would have done. And so, but I said to myself, whether you're right or wrong doesn't matter. Like, what do you want out of this? Do you want him to understand how you feel, and do you want to understand how he feels? And the answer is, yeah, I do. I want to grow from this. And so instead of trying to be right about it, we sat down and talked about it, and there was things on both sides,
Yeah.
you know. But now we have this better understanding of what happened, and how to integrate more of ourselves into each other. So it was really great. But I would challenge anybody when they think, hey, I'm right about that,
Yeah.
or I have an opinion that cannot be changed. Maybe start asking you some questions about it. Like, where did I learn this?
Right.
Is it even mine?
Mm.
Is it something I learned as a 5-year-old?
Right.
Do I really feel this way about it?
Yeah.
And why? You
Yes.
know?
Oh, that was so beautifully said, so beautifully put. And then one of those things I needed to hear because there is my best friend we have our disagreements and we clash. And there is something where I'm just like, I caught myself, but I was like, no, I'm right about this. I'm right about this, and he's not right about it. He's just typical mansplaining and stuff like that, and as soon as I started to do that, I completely just invalidated his whole side. And so hearing you say, what is it I really want out of this? And I was like, yeah, like you said, to be understood and to understand him as well. And I was like, ah, that yes. So that just reminded me to uh something that I would always do. I just never did it for this, but it's to investigate my why. Like,
Yes.
why do I want to say like I'm right? Like, what? Break that down. What's the why? Because I would always say investigate. I would always encourage people. It did something. It did what that person said, or you're struggling to detach or something like that. You're struggling with attachment. Investigate. Let's
Yeah,
start
I
there.
love it.
Let's start there. Investigate where
Hmm.
that's coming from. Where that's coming from. And so now I'm seeing investigation in another way, as to like investigate like what is behind this? Like, what are you wanting? What are you trying to get out of this that is covered up with being quote unquote right? What's
And
beneath
also,
that?
what are you protecting? What are you
That
protecting?
too.
So it goes back
Mm,
to vulnerability. Can you be vulnerable enough to say, "Hey, I'm sorry that didn't go well.
mm,
Can we talk about it?"
yeah,
That's the need to be right shuts down any vulnerability you could possibly have.
it's true.
So I love your investigation. That's a really great way to get out of your own head about it,
Yeah.
and and it's always about your why. Why? Why am I doing it? Even writing the book in a positive, like, what's my why? Why is this important to me? Um, why do I want to put this in the world?
Yeah.
You always have to know your why. It informs. It puts the energy behind the thing.
Yes.
It informs the universe. It informs yourself, and so I love that. You always need to know your why.
Yes. Well,
Hmm.
thank you, Julie. Yes, I learned a lot, and because I'm really working on like those words that you had said earlier, really, really, really powerful to me, about like what's behind that, the wanting to be right. Like, what are you trying to get out of it? And like you said, like, what's the why? Because I'm really working on, accepting him just as is. Because I remember we got in a little argument months ago. Um, And he had mentioned in the argument that how come I don't accept him like he accepts me? And that just blew my, and now, because if it comes to someone who is assigned female at birth, or someone who's like who is born intersex, like I accept wholly. But if it's someone that was assigned male at birth, obviously because of trauma, if someone was assigned male at birth, someone's a male, especially if they embody certain traits of, what others would identify as toxic masculinity, um, I would just act like I accept them just because I know that I should, but my heart was just waiting for them to be, quote unquote, in my words, quote unquote, a stereotypical man. Just waiting for them to mansplain. And so I can just be like, yep, you're all the same. Oh gosh, they don't know that much. Look at them. Just, things like that. And so after that argument, I went to therapy for months because I was like, that is so true. Like, I don't accept, and I need to start fully accepting. Um, I'm ready to start fully accepting men. Doesn't mean I agree with everything. Um,
Right.
right, but it's like because I I don't know, like he had to show me though. He had to show me what it's like to have a male fully accept me, for me to be able to even receive that statement that he said.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's amazing.
Yeah, and
Y-
so hearing what you said, because I'm actively like working on, and he sees it, and I'm glad he sees it. But he sees that I'm actively working on accepting him all just as is, and
That's
so
amazing.
yes, so I was a little, I got a little I wasn't beating myself up, but I got a little, I was like, oh no, like I get like, learning and all that and process and progress. It's not always a straight line. But I was like, this time I really wanted it to be. And so I was like, yeah, me being having that thought of like, I'm gonna
I get
call
it.
him because I need to tell him I am right about this. I was just like, you're wrong about this, and you're not seeing it different. But what is behind that? What is
Yeah.
behind that? And so it just gave me so much comfort. That gave me so much comfort. So thank you, Julie. Seriously.
Also, people don't learn by preaching, they learn by watching.
Ooh.
So, it's a being a mom of someone who is a big lecturer,
Mhm,
that never worked.
mm,
It didn't work. They
yeah.
watch, and that's how people learn from you is how you actually show up, not what you say,
Mm,
but what you do.
right.
And and if we go back to that Earth being a schoolroom, this friend of yours he's your master's class in humanity.
Yeah.
He's there for you. I mean, there's a reason you're paired, and it's beautiful, sacred connection,
Yes.
and you love him enough to work through this.
Yes.
And
It's true.
that's and so that says a lot about him, and it says a lot about you too. Yeah.
You're gonna make me cry. You're gonna make me cry. And tears are beautiful,
Well,
folks. Oh, I need it. Oh my God, I needed to hear that. Oh,
well, it's all true. It's You're doing the work, and he is a master teacher for you. When someone shows up like that in
yes.
our lives, we just thank them.
Yeah.
All these things because you're so engaged in learning more about yourself through him, through his lens. I will say, and you said this earlier, I just want to clarify for people though that not everybody's meant to be in your life.
Right.
Now this guy is, but but
Right. Right.
if but
Mhm.
sometimes we don't accept people because they're a drain on our energy or on
Yeah.
you don't have to love everybody.
Hmm.
You don't. You have to accept everybody as they are, but you can move on
Right.
and put boundaries in.
Mhm.
Obviously, in this case, that would not be advisable,
Right.
but
I love that you mentioned that. I love that it's important to make that distinction. It really is, because
yeah,
there are some people that, it's probably just best that we're you're not be in each other's lives. I completely I'm glad that you mentioned that. Yeah, I don't, because I don't want someone to think that they were doing something wrong by keeping someone who's toxic or draining to them.
right.
So I thank you for mentioning that.
Yeah, and as
Yes.
we upgrade, as we learn and grow, we might need to upgrade our room, and that happens too. Not everybody's meant to be in your life for your whole book. They might just be
Right.
a couple chapters, and that's
Yes.
okay. That's
Yes.
okay. I want people to know that's okay.
Yes. I love
There's
that
a
you
lot of
said that, because I
mhm.
was saying the other day, I was like, higher self and universe, I just felt this message of, you know, um, I received the message of, some people are meant to be, but some people aren't meant to be forever. And
Mm-mm.
that's okay.
No, that's
That's okay.
it's totally okay. Even if it's family, it's
Yeah,
okay. It's okay.
exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. So I know we're running out of time, but I wanted to thank you so much, Julie.
Yeah. Can
Um,
I just say one thing
oh
real
yeah,
quick?
please, please. Yes.
I know you already know this about yourself, but I so in love with you. You're so special. You're a light for the world, and I feel so honored to be a part of your show. Uh, You're uh, you're so authentic and so you and so vulnerable, and I really have enjoyed this conversation. And you're really special.
My God, thank you so much. I received that. Thank you so
Mhm.
much. I received that. Thank you. So I needed to hear that, Julie.
Wow.
Thank you.
I felt you like I honestly felt like you need to hear it, and I wanted to say it. I
Did need to
just
hear
feel
that.
this. I feel a heart to heart connection with you.
Thank you so much, Julie. Um, Folks, please go and check out Julie's work in the episode description below. So we can support. Thank you so much, Julie, for coming on here. Thank you so much. And thank you for your
Thank
kind
you.
words. I really appreciate that.
My pleasure. My
Thank you.
pleasure.
So, Julie, what I'm gonna do is, well, first let me end the show. Folks, I will see y'all next episode for whatever that will be.